Grand City is where millions of people call home. So when anyone or anything becomes a threat, it's my job to help. Sure, I've got my stories like any other hero. Saving the day, fighting the bad guy, but I've never had to be on a team. No one else is coming to rescue them. This is all on me. I am the Guardian of Grand City.
Hey everybody, I'm CJ, and I gotta tell you, trying to find the time to make another YouTube video, it takes a frickin' act of Congress, but here we are. So, finally getting there. You know, all of this, all these goings on with Tim Drake, if you know what I'm talking about, then that's fine. All these goings on with Tim Drake, it is kind of an interesting object lesson. Right? There's something that a mainstream comic book writer is supposed to do. And there's also something that a mainstream comic book writer is not supposed to do. So I guess prosecution's Exhibit A for what a comic book writer should not do is completely destroy a character, completely undermine his history, and basically throw everything out the friggin' window just for some idiotic political agenda. That's just about the gold standard of what a comic book writer is not supposed to do, at least for characters that belong to somebody else. As it turns out, there's also a pretty good example out there of what a comic book writer is supposed to do. I speak of Chuck Dixon writing Batman. And pretty much every story that Chuck Dixon wrote for Batman, there's an honesty about it. Now, I'm not saying that they're all good. Most of them are pretty good. There are a few that I think are sort of clunkers. But in the main, they're good. And all of them are honest in terms of who Batman is, what he's all about, what makes him tick, and who he is as a person, as a character. And on top of all that, Chuck Dixon, when he wrote Batman, he did what a comic book writer is supposed to do. When you're handling these characters that you don't own, you didn't create, and are going to survive long after you're gone, you need to kind of put your thinking cap on. It's okay to just take another look at this thing and ask yourself why. Why are certain things the way that they are? One of the things I've always kind of wondered about are those little scallops that Batman has on the side of his gloves. Like, why are they there? I mean, I know that they're there because they look cool, but like from a functional standpoint, like what do they do? And as it turns out, it wasn't Chuck Dixon who answered that question. Ultimately, I guess you'd have to say it was Christopher Nolan. But point is, Chuck Dixon would look at who Batman is, what he has, what he does, and he would ask himself, why? Or he would ask himself, what more can there be? Or what can I do to make this better? And he gave a reason for Batman to have a cape. Now, I realize Christopher Nolan did that too, but that was years later. This issue, Batman number 469 from, I think, like 1992 or something like that, 1993, it answers, or it by itself, it doesn't answer the question, why does Batman have a cape? But it does give his cape a sort of functional purpose. So you've got Batman, he's going toe-to-toe with King Snake. And honestly, if you have any kind of brain at all, you're reading this 3-part story. I think it's, you know what? I think it's called Shadowbox. I think is what it's called, but whatever. Batman number 467, 468, and 469, like 1992, 93, something like that. And you knew going into this thing that sooner or later, Batman and King Snake are going to trade punches with each other. It's almost like that's a foregone conclusion. And being as it's Batman's name that's on the cover of this book, it's a reasonable guess that Batman is probably going to win the fight. But how he wins the fight, or at least how he gains the upper hand, this is telling. So anyway, you've got Batman. He's squared off with King Snake. And actually right now, technically, he's on the ropes. And so it looks like King Snake, he's moving in for the kill. Batman does some stuff with his cape. He even says, the rustle of the cape confounds him. He treats it as a feint. He's prepared for the follow-through. So what comes next? Well, what comes next is Chuck Dixon gives Batman a reason to have a cape. The cape is no feint. The steel weights sewn into the end catch him full face. And here we see King Snake, he's taking it right to the face, directly between the eyes. Obviously, he's drawing blood, and this is Chuck Dixon. He's not radically inventing who Batman is and what he's all about. He's basically giving a practical use, if you need one. He's giving Batman a practical use for his cape. This doesn't radically change everything we ever thought we knew about this character. It's just a cool little accessory. Chuck Dixon saw an opportunity here. He went for it. And maybe, obviously, this is not an idea that stuck around all that long. I think this is the only time it was ever mentioned. I think. I don't remember this coming up very often after this, but this is the only one that ever stood out in my memory. And obviously, this wasn't something that came to define Batman. This isn't something that stuck around very long. I think, like I say, I think this is the only instance of the weighted cape ever being even mentioned, at least that I can think of. But nevertheless, you can even call this an unsuccessful experiment on Chuck Dixon's part. The fact remains, he didn't break this character that he doesn't own. He put his thinking cap on, tried to think of something that would be cool, that would honor who this character is and what he's always been. Maybe this is going to be an idea that takes off. Obviously it didn't, but maybe this is going to be an idea that takes off and is really going to go somewhere. And that is what a mainstream comic book writer is supposed to do. You're not supposed to completely destroy the character, radically rewrite his foundation, his history, everything that makes him tick, everything that readers thought that they knew about this character, undermining years and years of continuity in the process. Rather, you're just supposed to take something that already exists, put your own spin on it, find a way to make it somehow cooler, like Chuck Dixon did, perhaps not successfully, but nevertheless, that is what he did in this instance, and let history separate the good ideas from the bad ideas. That's really all you're supposed to do. So, anyway, I just wanted to throw all that out there. That's that. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, make sure you're still subscribed, comment, like, and share this video because it really helps me out. Also, you can find me on Twitter at Cole Loves Comics.